All right, on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we are interviewing Kristin Lee. And Kristin Lee is going to share with us about how it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. You might be saying, who's Kristin Lee? Well, Kristin Lee is the founder of Kristin Lee Business Management. And she works with professional athletes, celebrities, and other big-time clients to help them manage their money. And on today's show, she joins us to share with you some of the pro tips that you can use to manage your personal finances more effectively. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we are interviewing a woman she's a founder, and she's the managing director of Kristin Lee Business Management. This woman, she works with celebrities, musicians, athletes. Maybe if I harass her often enough, maybe she'll be willing to lower her standards to work with me. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Kristin Lee. Kristin Lee, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
Oh, I'm just great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm fired up. You're kind of a big deal.
No, I love this.
Where are you from?
I grew up in the Bay Area.
Bay Area?
I've lived all over the place. Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I know you've had massive success now, but I mean, how did you get your start, or tell us your story of Kristin Lee before the success?
I was a musician when I was younger, and I spent some time playing in bands and touring myself, and then I just realized that the business side of it was, just more my speed and more for me, and kind of transitioned into that. And my dad and my stepmom are accountants, so I was kind of just around that energy all of the time, and I guess I just have that in my DNA. So I ended up going back to school to get an accounting degree and did a little bit of public accounting. And then while I was finishing school, and yeah, when I got out, I just happened to find business management, and I've had this great headhunter who found me my first job at my first firm, and yeah, the rest is kind of history. I just kept on going.
What instruments did you play?
I play guitar poorly, bass, piano, keyboards.
Is there any place we can go to find regrettable YouTube videos of you performing?
Oh, no comment.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, today you work with, some really A-list, personalities, and I think people don't understand this. If one is not careful, when you earn a lot of money, when Juan earns a lot of money, Juan earns a lot of money. Mm-hmm. If you're not careful, a lot of money comes out. A lot of money comes in, but a lot more money comes out than comes in. And all of a sudden, these big-time earners are seeing their money, their hard-earned money disappear on frivolous items, whatnot, and hoo-has, things that people don't need. Doodads, accoutrements, tchotchkes. How often, Kristin, do you help? Do you have to really have almost an intervention with these artists to help them get on top of their finances?
All the time. It's actually very common. I think especially when the money is new and everything's exciting, and if your career is doing this level up, then you're suddenly surrounded by a different group of people, and just like anyone else, you have the keeping up with the Joneses. You have, if you've got a friend who's got, the $25,000 a month house in the Hollywood Hills, and you're still living in an apartment in Silver Lake, you kind of want to start to kind of migrate that way, and your finances might not agree with that just yet, or I just might advise against it anyway, because do you actually need that? Is that your best use of resources?
Do you are you allowed to share some of the names of some of the celebrity clients that you work with? Just None of our listeners want
No,
to know.
we're under a lot of NDAs.
Can we just read the NDA agreements out loud? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
would you like to? They're very exciting.
Okay. No. So you have offices now in Los Angeles, Seattle, Nashville, and I believe your whole staff pretty much is a group of Wonder Women. Is this correct? I mean, all female staff.
I've got Wonder Women, yes, and one really fantastic male assistant.
And
he's actually now our director of operations or operations manager. But he was my assistant for some years prior, and he just kind of started taking over some of the things at the firm that really just needed doing because he's got great forethought that way. And so I had to bump up his title and make him more important than just being my assistant, though I still tend to call him that. But yeah, we are a very diverse group of women who come from, all different places and backgrounds. And, I think the diversity in my staff and the diversity in my client roster has always been really important to me. There's a lot of representation there. And we're, trying to just really show that there can be more equality and equity within this industry. So that's always been something that's important for me to display.
How did you get started with your own company?
So I started at other firms and kind of just worked my way up, as you would at any corporate ladder. And then at the last couple of places I was at, I was starting to bring in my own clients and people were coming directly to me. And there came a day where I was doing really well at my firm and I wanted, a partner track. And they had a 10-year plan for me to do that. And I was just not feeling that I needed 10 years to get there. So I took all my clients and left.
And do you office personally in LA or where do you office?
I go all over. I go to all of them. I spent a lot of time in Seattle in the last couple of years prior to the pandemic. I'm back in California now, but I had just opened that office in May of 2018. So I was spending a lot of time there and building that team. And yeah, I feel, we just. I didn't catch that. Oh, cool. My watch is talking to us.
Oh, beautiful.
It's great technology. I just hired in Nashville this year. So I think I'll be spending some time there, getting that office kind of built up. But yeah, I go to all the offices. I like to be around all of my people, my staff. I like to see all of my clients and they're all over the place. So I tend to bounce around.
So for our listeners out there, let's say they had an opportunity to sit down with you and they're a high net worth individual and or high income individual, maybe not high net worth. Maybe they spend all of it. What would be your maybe your top 3 financial tips, your pro tips for everybody out there that they could apply immediately to get a hold of their personal financial situation?
Mind your debt. Definitely, I would say, don't spend more than you're making. And it's very easy when you have an influx of new money and your income is increasing to scale up. You think you need more, but conversely, it's very hard to scale back down. So I would say temper your spending to keep that growing at a slower pace than your income is increasing, and just pay mind to that. Also, taking accountability for your cash flow and staying informed of what's going on, what's coming in, what's going out. I think, in the entertainment world, there are definitely some creative people who just really don't want to be involved in the business aspect of it. But at the end of the day, it is their business. So, we're always encouraging our clients to take ownership of what is actually theirs. They're the ones that are going out and making the money. They're spending the money. And we just want to give them the information and the tools to make good business decisions. I don't want to make the decisions for them. I don't want that responsibility. I'm just here to help facilitate, their growth or, brand expansion or whatever it is that they're trying to do as an artist. So, I think just, having ownership of your finances, and even if it's not the nitty gritty, just a general overview even of knowing what's going on. And then, just don't be dumb with your money. I would encourage everybody to treat themselves. Of course, if you're having a big win, a big year, everybody does deserve to have some sort of reward. But, don't let it get out of hand. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go buy, 6 jet skis for you and all your friends. Maybe just one for you.
How often are the people that you work with, these big time celebrities and clients and athletes, when you first meet them, how often are they way in the hole because they didn't factor in taxes?
It depends. I've had a few people who definitely come to us with tax issues where they haven't filed in a long time, or they've, had major issues with the IRS. We had a client who, we cleaned up some messes, and he definitely had some heavy legal trouble due to not paying taxes. And that was, largely mistrusting people that supposedly had been taking care of it. But again, this goes back to the ownership. It was still his business, and he wasn't minding his business. He was trusting that other people were doing it, and they weren't. And he ended up getting in a lot of trouble for it.
Do you want to go on the record there, Kristin, and saying that you would recommend that all of our listeners should pay taxes?
Absolutely. You can't avoid it. You really
okay, I just want to make
avoid
sure,
the
like
IRS.
controversial
They will come
here.
for you.
Okay, now I want to ask you this because you're a proactive person. You're having a lot of success. How do you typically organize your day? Like what time do you wake up? What are you doing those first 4 hours of your day?
I usually wake up, before 6 a.m. I do coffee, I check my emails, then I work out, and then I kind of just jump right in. And no day is really quite the same. Right now, we're pretty heavy in a tax deadline, so I feel that I'm doing a lot more reviewing of tax returns and kind of monitoring stuff that's coming in regarding to those things right now. But, it could be totally different if we're heavy in a touring season and we've got half of our clients on the road, depending on where they are. Sometimes my day might need to start a lot earlier if they're in Europe and, they're up and going. They might be bugging me.
Do you like to
long
work
before the sun comes up?
Do you like to work out? Are you kind of more of a yoga person, or are you more of a broga?
No, I gotta sweat really hard. I'm like a high intensity interval training.
Okay.
And weights and things. Yeah.
Oh, and do you have music? Do you get to go to class, like a bunch of people working out at one time, or are you like solo?
So I've been working out with a friend of mine who's a trainer, and she's a Soul Cycle instructor. She's been doing these Zoom classes during COVID. Today's actually her birthday.
Oh, wow.
And there's a group of us that have gone on, 4 days a week. And she does great playlists. I mean, she's like the queen of the playlist.
Hip hop?
So, we get all kinds of stuff, hip hop, rock. And it's so funny. She always knows exactly what mood I'm going to be in. Somehow she just always plays exactly what I need to hear that day.
What about Bon Jovi?
But it's
whoa, 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 whoa.
We've had a little bit of that, a little GNR.
Okay.
There's a lot of Stevie Nicks.
Really? Wow. Now,
yeah.
My final question I have for you, Miss Special K. That's your rap name. Should you want to get back into the career business as a rapper, Special K. Kristin Lee,
right.
Special K. It's like the Bruce Lee ninja skills, but with the Special K. It's the K, and it's gonna work. Trust me,
that'll work.
It's impressive. So Kristin, where can people learn more about you, and what is it that you want to share with our? We have about 1 million listeners a week that tune in on their way to work. That kind of thing. What's your website, and what's the thing you want to share with all of our listeners?
Our website is klbmllc.com. I'm on Instagram, KLBMLLC, and Miss Kristin Lee. And a lot of what I share with, your listeners and whoever is out there is just education and empowerment of your finances. I think that there's a lot of times there's shying away from finances and your money. Sometimes people feel that they've made mistakes, and then they're ashamed of that. And so they kind of just put their head in the sand and think, maybe if I just ignore this, it'll go away, whether it's not filing taxes for however many years, or, getting your credit card debt out of hand. And you just try to turn a blind eye to it. It's not going to go away. So, it's face these things head on, educate yourself into, what's really the problem here? Do you have a bunch of credit card debt that's, got high interest rates on it? How do we tackle it? Things like that. So just Yeah, stop shying away from that stuff and really take ownership of what is yours, and be accountable for the decisions that you make, because every move that you make financially has a consequence, positive or negative, and you have to own that.
You are a great American, Kristin Lee, and I encourage everybody to learn more about you. And I thank you so much for coming on today's show. I know you could be doing high-intensity training. You could be working with celebrities. You could be working with big-time athletes. You could be reading NDAs right now, but you've chosen to be here with us, and I appreciate you for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
Take care, Kristin.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!